You recording the right thing?
Yep.
All right. Do this
What
again.
is up, everybody?
Hey.
Welcome back. Preachers Hour podcast.
Oh, it's the greatest podcast in the world. It's the only podcast I listen to. That's probably like a conceited.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
It's one that I've the only one I've listened to pretty much since the quarantine hit. I've listened to our podcast, and it sounds really terrible to say that.
I know.
And there's one I really like, Charles Barkley and
Charles Barkley has a podcast.
Charles Barkley and Ernie Johnson from Inside the. It's called The Steam Room. I love it.
Oh wow!
It is a wonderful pod. It really is a very good podcast. Highly recommend it.
That's dope.
Yeah, it's dope. I really like it.
I'm trying to think of other podcasts I've listened to. I listened to the Carrie Newhoff podcast. It was pretty good, but it's just I don't know. So certain podcasts are doing it for me. Wasn't it was a really good podcast? 30 Minutes with the Perrys.
Yeah, man, that one's really good.
I find that very.
I haven't listened
helpful.
to it in a while.
Yeah,
I didn't realize she's pregnant again.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, I saw her post today, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
so I find out the gender. I was like, "Of what?"
Out there popping them out, man.
Okay, Preston. Oh man,
hilarious.
So, little housekeeping. Messed up again in the last episode.
Yeah,
we did an amazing conversation.
It's fantastic.
Recorded it off of my computer's mic instead of our expensive mics. So it didn't sound as good as it should have, but I made a checklist.
Hey,
and I'm sticking to it. So
shout out to the checklist. Did you look at the checklist for reals though?
I did.
Okay, we checked off every box.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. Because you told me about it, you showed it to me, but I was like,
"You ain't using that."
You ain't using that?
No, I really am.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, camera's good. Mic on the camera's good. Your camera's good.
My camera's good.
So we are in this thing. So guys, we are recording from my new house.
Woo woo.
Which is crazy to think about. It's been weird sleeping here. It's getting easier, but it's just like
this is
weird,
mine,
man. Yeah, it's a different level of pressure when it's like, dang, I gotta keep this thing safe and protected, and
it's legit. Like, it's a beautiful home. Like, I mean,
thank you.
It's a really, really beautiful home. There's no furniture.
Not
guys,
a drop of furniture. Nowhere to sit for a while.
So it's okay. But it was funny because the house, like, it just still feels brand new. So it's like someone lives here, but it's like, are you sure?
Do they? They just renting. They just squatting in here.
Squatting.
Yeah.
Making it look like it. But no, obviously it's a super beautiful house. And thank you, Jeff, for opening up your home for the podcast. Like,
man, this was part of the plan.
Yeah.
My wife agreed, so that was the boss signed off. I was like, great.
And the coolest thing is, man, like, if you don't have a podcast, you don't understand the struggle. But if you have a podcast, you understand like the struggle of like setting up and tearing down. If you ever have like had a church that was in a school or something like that, or like anywhere that you had to tear down everything that you set up to produce your content, it was a struggle. It's a legit struggle. But now we have an actual room that's like dedicated to podcasts. It's not done yet, y'all. So don't be like, they made it.
Just give us some grace.
Yeah.
We got this far.
We getting there.
Yeah, man.
We getting there. So I'm glad. I'm overjoyed. I told you this earlier. Like, I'm really happy for you and Selena in the house, and just seeing like the joy that it brings Selena joy. It just there's a lot of process still going on.
Yeah. We're still working on it, still getting it right, but every day it's getting closer and closer to like home.
Yeah, it's becoming real.
Yeah, man.
And it's a beautiful neighborhood, like out here in Madeira.
It's cool, man. I've met one of the neighbors already, so
Let's go.
I'm looking forward to like connecting with the neighborhood and being able to hopefully evangelize and make this house like a place, like a focal point of like light into this neighborhood. That's the goal. So
let's
gotta
go,
stick to that. Yeah, man.
Let's go.
Speaking of lights in this world, we lost a bright one, man, today. This is not going to be a sad episode, though.
No, it's not.
I was sad, but I've kind of been mentally preparing for this ever since I heard the news that Ravi was terminal.
Yeah.
But our brother Ravi Zacharias passed away today at the age of 74. He went home to be with the Lord, and everything's just been a celebration, and the whole week, this entire week, ever since they announced it to today, just been a constant outpouring of thank you, and different stories and things like that of his impact on different individuals. And I've shared before, I'll share again, like he's just had a huge impact on my life, and I honestly look forward to meeting him in heaven.
I think this is gonna be fantastic, a fantastic celebration for Ravi when he gets there. I mean, I just feel like it's like when you're playing on the team and whatever happens, and you go to the championship, you guys win, but then like the MVP shows up. I'm not saying that Ravi's the MVP, but it's just like, hey, Ravi's here. Oh snap, Ravi's here. What up, bro? And like seeing like because his apprentice guy, what's his name, who passed up before him, Nabil, who was like, the way he transitioned was truly remarkable. Like, guy was just like, look, guys, like this is what we like aspire to. Like, yes, death is scary. Yes, death is like not the best, but like what's coming after this. Like, not that you think, it's like it should be like what's coming after this. So like for that reunion to happen, for him to see his parents again, and I mean, just like there's so many joys to transitioning, and like I said, it's not like you said, it's not gonna be a sad episode, because I think that we as believers have a hope. We have a hope that we believe in, and we're not gonna mourn like everyone else. Well, is it sad? Yeah, he's not here. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be like there's no new. Well, actually, that's not true. Not for us. I was gonna say there's no new Ravi Zacharias content out there, but I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of content out there that he hasn't ever produced or like put out there. So he may be able to teach us from beyond the grave. Exactly. So that would be like really, really dope. Kind of like Tupac.
Yeah, I still have 2 of his books that I haven't finished, so I'm gonna try to finish those. But yeah, man, it's been tough, but like you said, like I think it's a celebration. I was on Twitter today. See if I can pull it up here. But just all the tweets that people are tweeting. Taylor Gray said, really dope how the loss of Ravi Z has brought many people of Christian faith together despite their vastly different emphasis points. What a diverse send-off, and what a reminder of our home to come.
Dude.
Yeah, and then Jackie Hill Perry tweeted, someday you will read in the papers that I am dead. Don't you believe a word of it. At that moment, I shall be more alive than I am now. It's a D.L. Moody quote, but it fits Ravi
perfectly.
So well. Yeah, man.
Don't believe it. He's not dead. And I guess that's something that we have to always be mindful of, is like, and this is what Jessica, my wife, is trying to teach us and our children, that like we don't die, we transition. Like, to change the word from death to transition, in that sense, like sometimes you got to use the word death because death is real. But when you see like transition, it's like it kind of like gives them hope, gives our kids hope, because their grandmother is their great grandmother is getting ready to transition as well. And I'm like, oh, how do we teach our kids about death? Well, first we have to teach them like there's death, and then there's the transition for the believer. So it's like where we live, it's very much real, but there's a realer real out there.
That's good.
Which is eternity, and that's something we got to like really press forward to. And Ravi Zacharias is not like rotting away in a corpse somewhere. My dude is 100%, 1,000% alive and well, and like this is what blows my mind, kicking it with Jesus.
Yeah, man.
Like, oh my God, to just see Jesus face to face. I think Chris Webb has a poem, and he says this thing perfectly. He says, every tear will be worth it. Every long night, every day of suffering will be worth it to see my Savior face to face. And I'm like, yo, to see the one who carried me through all those hard times, to see the one who prayed for me in the garden of Gethsemane, to see the one who died for my sins so that I could even have a relationship with the Father, to see him, I don't even, there's no words to explain. Yeah. There's no way to tell people, like, when I see Jesus, some people say like, oh, I can't wait to see Paul, or I can't wait to see Peter. Like, Bro, I can't wait to see Jesus.
Yeah, man.
That's going like Yeshua HaMashiach. I'm gonna see my dude who was on the tree for me, and like just to sit at his feet, to ask him questions. I mean, I don't know if we get to heaven, we just know everything, like he knows everything. But honestly, right now in my flesh, I don't really want to know. I want him to tell me. I want him to reveal, like, hey, yeah. So like when I was in the garden praying, like this is what it was like. Or when I was doing, I'm like, yo, because one of the questions I have for Jesus. I know we talk about Ravi, but
this is fun.
one of the questions I'm gonna have for Jesus, like, why, like, explain to me the time when you cried about Lazarus, when you knew you were gonna raise him from the grave. Like, just explain that to me. I just want to know what was going through your mind, like what made you cry, because I mean, I know we have speculations like, oh, he had to die twice, which is that's a huge
Ravi Zacharias that's something he said before.
Oh,
he
word.
Explained it that way. It's like the reason he was crying because he knew he was going to go through this again.
Damn.
And literally, there's a grave in the Middle East that says like Lazarus, the man who died twice.
Oh,
snap! Like,
yeah, that sucks.
Right?
Hey, no, I don't want to die twice.
Yeah.
But to see, like, to hear Jesus explain that scenario, or kind of explain just like his life, because as we know from John, there's not enough books in the world to contain everything that Jesus did.
That he did. Yeah.
So we get like these little snippets, and I think it was John Drodos.
Ask him about the deleted scenes.
Let's go. The deleted scenes. I think it was John Drodos who was on the podcast a few weeks ago, and he talked about how Jesus is. What did he say? He said that Jesus' life couldn't be contained in all the books of the world. Man, I hope I remember. I can't remember what he said, but if I think about it during this podcast, I want to say it. But basically, to my point is, like, there's so much more out there. Like, there's so much more that's been done by our Lord and Savior that we have no idea, have no clue. But like, how great would it be to sit at his feet and him just be like, I could just imagine, like, I'm just like sitting there eating a chicken sandwich, talking about from Chick-fil-A, because you know Chick-fil-A's in heaven.
Gonna be there. It's on the menu.
Let's go, Jesus. What was you saying?
Oh man.
So
I feel fantastic. Like I'm just gonna give him a hug.
Yeah.
Like, I think
probably cry your eyeballs out.
Yeah,
too,
that's
if you could.
Yeah. He's like, no, we're wiping away every tear. No, not even these.
We don't
even have tear ducts in here.
We don't have tears of joy in heaven.
Yeah.
Nothing.
But so you brought up something that I also want to talk about, which was Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. Because after our last episode, our pastor, who was actually there while we were recording,
which was really weird.
Yeah, he came in like towards the end. It was awkward, but
because like we're both standing there trying to like now like really watch what we're saying.
Yeah, I started thinking. You never want to do this podcast like thinking too much.
Yeah,
trying to like censor it. We really wanted to be like hot. To be honest, open and transparent. But Patient talked to us afterwards and it was like, you guys have to be careful how you talk about death.
Yeah,
because I think even now we are painting this like rosy picture of it. We really need a balanced view of it.
Right.
Because even Jesus struggled with death and what he was going to have to go through when he was in the garden.
Right.
So, you know, looking at Ravi and the way that he handled it, at least from a social media standpoint, from the outside looking in, we don't know what it was like in his private moments. But it's like death for the Christian, like, how should it be? And then like, what's the reality of it that we actually are dealing with? Yeah,
I think that's a strong question. So like death for the Christian, I wouldn't say that it needs to be, it shouldn't paralyze you with fear. Like I think you could be afraid, if I can say that, afraid of like the transition. But I don't think that you can like be afraid of death. Like, okay, you don't know what's going to go. You don't know what's going to happen. This is just me. I don't know if everyone should think the same way. But for me, I don't want to be afraid of dying or being dead. I might be afraid of like how I'm going to die. I can be fearful of like the way I'm going to go out. Like, I don't want, like, if I get in a car accident and die, like all the way up until I'm dead. I'm gonna be scared. I'm like still like having memories of like, okay, what are my family gonna do? How's my wife gonna take this? Like I'm gonna be trying to fight for life,
right?
So that hopefully so that others can like benefit from my life, and not that I just want to preserve my own life for my own preservation. But I think that Christians should view death as the vehicle or the only way, which is true. Like it's the only way you get in heaven. It's the only way you're going to see Jesus. There's no other way, unless you decide the view and God is just super cool like that and get Enoch. You get Enoch. Turned it into a verb. Oh man, I'm getting Enoch out here. Yeah, that's the only way. So I don't think that you should be. I don't think that you should fear it, but I do say that there is a level of fear because you just don't know. Like I don't know what death feels like. I don't know if I don't know if it's like you're going out and you just fall asleep and that's it, or if it's like, okay, this is like a crazy pain, or like my brain is doing like in my mind these things are happening, or how. Because someone that patient said, which through my mind, I didn't think about this. The flesh does not want to die.
Right.
So it's trying everything that it can do to get out of this situation. Yeah. It's like, no, I'm not going. No. So it reminds me of you ever seen Princess and the Frog? At the end when the Shadow Man is getting like pulled away by the little friends from the other side, and he's just like, no, and he's trying to like hang on. That's your flesh trying to hang on to life because it's the only thing that it has. And I don't know if I can feel sorry for my flesh, but in a sense, it's like, dang, yeah, because after this, there's no use for you. Like you
get replaced with a new body.
Yeah, like you're gone.
Yeah.
Like
so this body, this flesh has like an end. Like, and it has no hope.
No hope.
The flesh has no hope. That's crazy. I just realized that. Wow. The flesh literally has no. I don't know what y'all so hopeful for. I ain't got nothing to hope for.
I ain't getting into heaven.
Dang, bro. Okay, this just opened up like a whole thing for me right now. Because it's like, wow. Okay, so people that don't know Jesus, that are in the flesh, like no wonder people fight so hard for this life. And are just like, YOLO, this is it. Because really, if I'm in my flesh, I'm not really cognizant of spirit. Like that's it.
There really is nothing.
There really is nothing else. This is it. There is nothing.
And this is your best life. Because after,
wow,
it just gets worse.
Sheesh, that's heavy.
Yo, I didn't think about that at all, fam. Like you really have to. Man, we got to have more grace for non-believers.
Yeah, because I haven't.
Yeah.
Like, literally, that just happened to me real time to realize, like, okay. And it sounds really stupid, but it's like, or obvious, but it's like, it hasn't been to me as far as like you read in Romans and in Romans 1 where it's like, God has given people over to their desires or whatever. And like, there's other parts where it's like, they're veiled.
Yeah.
Their eyes are covered. And it's just like, all they have is this flesh that knows that it's dying and it's fighting so hard to stay alive and it has no hope.
Zero.
So it's just like
this is its hope. If it can't figure out a way to live forever, then it's gonna.
We just have to try to feel as good as possible before we go. That's what the flesh is trying to do.
Wow.
So that's why it's just sin has such a hold.
Sheesh, man.
Wow.
And that really, I mean, it sucks because like then you're dwelling on the things of this world. And this is what like drives you, and you wonder why people are caught up in like greed and lust and
lust
sex.
of the flesh, lust of the eye.
Yeah, pride of life is like no wonder. Like these are the things that
all the flesh can get.
Yeah, there's nothing else for it after that. So, we gotta. I'm gonna do my best to have more grace for those who don't know Jesus and who are those. Especially if they're like the type of like blatant like atheist or like blatant like I don't know. Because even agnostic, I know some hardcore agnostics, which is weird.
We can't know. So that means you can't even know that you can't know.
Like there's no such thing as truth. So how do you know that statement is true?
Yeah, except for that statement that contradicts itself. Another Ravi Zacharias drop of knowledge. Thank you, Rob.
Man. I do put so much wisdom in us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's something that we have to consider. when talking about death. Like, everybody doesn't view death from our standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so real. I mean, even if you are saved, so I'm coming back to the Christian as far as like how death should be for us.
Yeah.
So there's so many different like examples of this. So I've talking to Uncle Rod about it. He was sharing with us when he died, because Uncle Rod has died before. I think he said for 4 minutes or something like that. He said
hard stop. So
I asked him like Greer asked him, what was it like? And he's like, to be honest, like it was the most peace I'd ever felt. Like I was not worried about anything. I wasn't worried about how my family was gonna be, if they're gonna be okay. I wasn't worried about bills. I wasn't worried about any type of stress. It was just like this huge wave of peace. He's like, there was no like light or anything like that. There was no white light or going towards the light, but it was just like complete peace. I was not worried about. I had no cares.
Because his spirit was just like, I'm free of the flesh.
Yes. Like, I feel like the flesh, because the flesh was dying, it's like stepping out of the way of the block between us and God. So it's like it's getting itself out of the way. So there's that super clear connection to the source of life.
Dang.
Right? Which is why that D.L. Moody quote makes sense. Because when we are with God, we are the most alive you can be.
True.
Because he is the source of life. He's the thing that sustains. He's the thing that gives life. But I've also heard like ridiculously painful deaths, like people screaming up until the point till they're flatline. You just die in agony.
As believers or as non-believers?
Whoever. Me and my wife just watched this movie. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. But it was called I Still Believe. It's a Christian movie. It's a true story about this guy, Jeremy Camp. He's a Christian.
Oh yeah, the artist.
Yeah. So it's a story about how him and his first wife, she died when she was like 21 of ovarian cancer. It was a good story, really good story. Man. And we can talk about the quality of the movie and the acting later, but the thing that I got from it is, so their story is really intense as far as how quickly they move and they get married, because she gets sick and then he like, it's crazy. He proposed and everything, but like her death was like not great.
Oh man,
it was weird because like she gets sick. It looks really bad, and then like he prays all this prayer. And she's like, miraculously, the doctors can't find any cancer. It's just gone. So then they get married, they go on their honeymoon, and then it just comes back 10 times worse. And so she's like coughing up blood. They rush to the hospital. She's in there. And then like the middle of the night, she like starts screaming. Her heart rate's up real high. And she's like, oh, I'm cured. She's like telling her husband, I swear it's gone. And so he runs out of the room to get the doctor, comes back, and she's died. He didn't even get to say goodbye. She was just gone. And it was just yeah, it was crazy. It was insane.
That's a crazy story. I'm sure the acting kind of like took away from that, but
it wasn't terrible.
Okay.
Because anyway, we'll talk about this later. But so my point in all that is just like, even as a believer, because this girl knew she was going to heaven, not a big deal for her.
Right.
But like, she was scared.
Yeah.
She was terrified. She was like, she was 21. Right, she's like, I have all these things I want to do. She couldn't have kids.
Yeah.
Because like they were gonna have to do a hysterectomy
and take everything out.
So they didn't do it, but she ended up dying anyway. But it's just like, there's all these things that I want to do in this life, and so I'm angry and afraid of like missing out on that. But also, it's like the pain and the uncertainty, because listen, no matter how much we believe in God, no matter how many experiences we have with God, in the back of everybody's mind, there's the fear of like, what if this isn't real? Like, let's just be
I think more Christians be honest about
man,
this.
we need to.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, I wholeheartedly believe in God. It makes way more sense that there is a God than there isn't. So I could never live as an atheist. It doesn't make any sense to me how people do that. But there is in the back of my mind. They got more faith than us. Yeah. But there's those moments where, you know, times are difficult. You're going through something and you're like, bro, what if this isn't real? And I think one of the most intense times of that has got to be when you're in the process of dying. Because you're like, okay, like I've put all of my hope and I've lived my life counting on this. Yeah. And, you know, I've heard non-believers be like, man, you wasted your whole life believing in this and living this way and like not living it up and not enjoying life. And then you die and that's it.
Yeah. But
I guess I don't know.
The only thing I would say to that is even if you died and this wasn't real, you still experienced all you could and you did right by whoever's moral standard. If you didn't believe in Jesus, or like you still lived like in a way that was pleasing to others, that was still you know beneficial to other people. So like as a true believer, a true follower of Jesus, like your life, if this is real or if it isn't, it's still a blessing.
You are a benefit to those around you. If you're really living the Christian life, you're really following Jesus. Yeah, I mean, like,
Robin, like,
who wouldn't want Christians in their lives, even if you don't believe?
Yeah,
and real ones.
Yeah, not those.
Because I've heard it talked about on the Bible Project. You know, Tim was talking about, like, you know, in the first century in Rome, in the Roman Empire, like, Christians were these weird people that wouldn't work on certain days, and they wouldn't worship at the temples and sacrifice at the temples, which was dangerous because you're basically angering our gods if you're not sacrificing. You're putting the whole city in danger by not sacrificing, and you're not participating in all the sexual stuff that's going on. Yet you guys are super generous. You're super giving. You're just sacrificial. You're constantly, you can have a shirt on. You're just giving all the time. You're very nice and kind. So it's like this weird, perplexing, like, I really like having you guys around, but I don't get you. And that's what Christians were like. It was like because there was no social services system in the Roman Empire. If you're poor, good luck. The government's not taking care of you.
Not at all.
Like, there's nothing set up. There's nothing for the poor. Christians created all of that. There'd be no Red Cross. There would be no Salvation Army. There would be like none of these. Yeah, none of these organizations. All of them at one point started out as Christian. They may not still be Christian, but they were created by the first hospitals, networks, and things like that. School system. Yeah, like for widespread, so most people go. Like,
even when there were like pandemics going on, like Christians were the first people to go and help the sick.
So like, you want us around, the real ones. You really do. So that's a great point to bring up as far as, like, even if this isn't all real, we're a benefit to you.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Yeah. And then the I guess the opposite is like what does it mean to live like your best life? It's like, is it being out here? Like, one thing is like, okay, there's a law, so you can't do whatever you want. Like, you should have lived your life. Well, I actually wanted to murder everybody in my But glad there's some kind of restraint. But then there's like, okay, do I like sleep with a bunch of women? Because like I've done that and it didn't bring me any satisfaction. Like at the end of the day, I'm just like, oh, okay, like this is not working. It's not bringing me joy. It's actually making me more and more depressed. Yeah. Okay, well, you should go out there and like smoke all the weed. Oh, well, try that, and it didn't bring me any type of like peace or like godly or not godly. It didn't bring me any type of satisfaction to where it lasted. It just put me back in the same place I was before I was high. Right. Bills are still here. Yeah. Like what? So the thing is, like, what does it mean to like live a life that's like, I don't know, a YOLO type lifestyle.
To the fullest. Like, to the fullest.
What does that mean? What does that look like?
Yeah.
Because honestly, I have 3 beautiful daughters. Like that, when I see them, I'm completely full.
Yeah.
I have a beautiful wife. When I see her, I'm completely full. I have a loving biological family and a loving spiritual family that makes me completely full.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I think about living my best life, all I can really say is that I am. Like, I am living my best life. This is what real life feels like. This is what a good life feels like to me. Now you can, and which is weird because I feel like you can talk to many people who are successful and they'll tell you like the money's not worth it.
Man,
the time spent building this company wasn't really worth it because I lost my kids, or like every time marriage failed, like
I had no real friends.
It's so much stuff that people do to where they think they have like everything, and they find out when they get there that it's really nothing. I guarantee you, Ravi died and was like, yeah, that was dope.
That was lit.
That was lit. That was a hell of a life.
Man, because he really did, man. Like, what a life. The dude traveled to like almost every country on the planet. Spoke to like so many people. People came to Christ. People got strong in Christ because of this dude. Man.
And then I think about him going out and like getting the thank yous before he died.
Yeah.
Like,
not everybody gets that.
I think that's something that you look like. I'm sure he was probably on his deathbed, sick with cancer, just reading these like, I didn't even know that this many people were affected by what I did. Yeah. Even now, Jessica got a text message from a lady at Youth for Christ who I would never thought would have been impacted by Jessica. So she's like reading this heck of a long email, and I'm like, oh my gosh, God, when is this? Whoever this is going in, like they must need something. They must need some money after this. Like, so I said all that to say. So like just going down the list of like how much of an impact she is, and at the end, like it was one of the girls in YFC who literally like doesn't talk to people.
Wow.
She's like super quiet. She's like keeps to herself. I mean, she works. Don't get me wrong. She puts in work, but like she works and she does her thing and she just like in and out. But what she was saying about how Jess impacted her life, I was just like, man, that's crazy coming from her, who I didn't think would ever have, like, I didn't think anyone, because she's already a strong woman. So I'm like, ain't nobody impacting you. But she was like, no, Jess, like you changed my life. And then even so much so that I showed my her host family. She showed her host, like, she's from a different country. So she's like, I showed my host family like your video from campus life. And then my host mom said that like she was very proud that I'm in the same circle with you. Wow. And she said that her host mom never says anything nice about her at all because they don't like each other. Sheesh. I was like, wait, what? And like to get that kind of like affirmation or get that kind of recognition. And then Jessica's like, I don't even know what I did. And I'm like, that's the point. Yeah. Like I think that's the beauty of this life is that I'm just being me and people are being blessed by me doing what I do.
Just literally like Jesus shining through your life. And I meant to say this on the last episode. But like the role of the priest in the Old Testament in Israel, like the priesthood went uninterrupted for hundreds of years. And can you name any priests?
Zechariah.
Yeah, there's a few that you can probably name, but
there's not many.
No. That's the point. Is that this role that we are playing, it's not about us. It's about who we are representing, who we're working for. And so all we got to do, we don't have to run around trying to get all this recognition and
wow, that's good, Jeff.
Just literally do your job, do your role, like play your role as a follower of Christ in the body, and it'll take care of itself.
I think that's the same thing a patient had said a while ago about, he was like, do you know the names of all the U.S. ambassadors?
Exactly.
And he was like, nah, I'm not one. I was like, yeah, it's the point.
Yeah.
Because they speak on behalf of the president. So whoever the president is and they speak, they're like, this is what the president wants. You don't got to know my name?
Yeah.
You just need to know you just need to know who I represent.
Yeah.
What's your name? My name is not important. But what is important? And this is the life that I think that which is not even, I think the Bible says is we are ambassadors of Jesus Christ. So if we are supposed to be ambassadors, who we are really doesn't matter. What we do is what matters. Are we speaking on behalf of the kingdom? Are we talking on behalf of the king? Are we representing him in a way that he needs to be represented? Or are we falsifying documents?
Man,
because at the end of the day,
it's one of the 10 Commandments. People always mess it up, but it's to carry the Lord. Do not carry the Lord's name in vain. You carry it out to the nations. You are representing him. Don't make him look bad.
Yeah.
So it's like the fact that Jess could impact one person like that just by doing what God called her to do. And then you look at like somebody like Ravi, who for 40 something years was literally just doing what God told him to do. Yep. And he impacted millions of people.
And I'm sure he has no idea how many people was really impacted.
Man.
I mean, you would probably hear a story. I mean, even your story about how he impacted you and how like critical he was in your apologetics. If he could hear you like say that, he would just be like, I don't even know what I did.
Who are you?
But he was like, I don't know. I'm just doing what God put in me. Like, and honestly, like this is something I love to do. So like you can tell Ravi loved what he did because he kept doing it.
Keep doing it in your 70s, and like, oh, I'm traveling. Like he would be.
He
literally was on the traveling 270 days out of the year.
Bruh.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
I mean, you know, away from his wife. His wife would go with him when she could. Mm-hmm. He has I forget how many kids he had and how many grandkids he has. His daughter, I think his oldest daughter, Naomi, is in charge of. It's called Wellspring International. It's one of their sister companies of the RZIM, and their whole role is to go out and support women and children around the world, especially in other underprivileged situations or where women aren't valued and children aren't valued. Mm-hmm. She actually put out a really cool Instagram video last week, just talking about, you know, and she was just all smiles. Just like, you know, my dad, like, I'm just so grateful for what we had, like what we got to have. And just the fact that he was able to spend his last week, like surrounded by family, you know, and again, like I'm gonna go back to like, I don't know what his last moments were like. I don't know what it was like. You know I saw what he was posting and tweeting. It was all extremely hopeful and extremely like true.
Yeah.
From a theological standpoint, but it's like, you know, and I don't know, because to die at 74 and have done what he has done, like I would be ready.
Yeah,
I'd be like, all right.
I mean, especially like after getting the news that you were terminal, and like you say all the time, we're all terminal.
Yeah. So
like to live as such. I mean, Ravi didn't even know he was terminal. He was living as such. Mm-hmm. Like he spent every ounce and every fiber that he could,
with urgency,
proclaiming the gospel and like trying to get people to understand, which is amazing. Trying to get people to understand that God is real. Like, I'm not really like, okay, you're an atheist, but I want you to know that God is real, not because I'm trying to be right.
Yes,
but I'm like genuinely concerned about you.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this out of your way so that you can hear the gospel.
Yeah.
Like, that's my favorite thing about him, was just the fact that he had all the arguments and the philosophical arguments, but like his whole thing was like, look, like behind every question is a questioner. The goal of this whole thing is to reach this person. I'm trying to get you, whatever stuff is in the way from you receiving Jesus, let me remove it.
Yeah.
Whatever arguments, whatever evidence you need, let me get that out the way. But you need this guy named Jesus.
Yeah.
He loves you. He died for you. He cares about you. You are valued. You are made in the image of God. Like, he made that very clear.
Yeah.
And my favorite stories of his was not his Q&As where he'd be in front of, you know, thousands of, you know, university kids. It would be afterwards.
Yeah.
Where he's told a story one time. This reporter was like, hey, can we record, you know, this Q&A? He's like, yeah, sure. You know, it's fine. And so they record the whole thing. The thing wraps up. He's leaving. And this woman like runs him down, like on this college campus, like sprints after him. And, like, and they have this like full, super long conversation all the way to like her car or to his car. And like by the end of it, like she was just like, I've never heard any of this before in this way. I've never thought about it in this way. Like, what do I got to do?
Wow.
And it was just like, that story to me is just so cool because like it's not on camera. It's not, you know, it's an actual life that's been in like, hey, like, I'm not here to like win an argument. I'm here to win you to God.
Yeah.
Like,
dude,
I love that.
And it's so crazy because like one thing I've come to realize is that many people who are successful have piggybacked like off of the principles of the Bible. Gary Vee is like one of them, and I love Gary Vee. Like my dude is like killing it in the game. And Gary Vee is like literally like gratitude and being humble. And like I watched a video that he was talking about today, and he said like, you have to be, if you want to like make it as a social media influencer, if you want to make it like in a big setting, the thing you have to do is like not care about everyone, like not care about all the followers. You need to care about the one person that you could reach who could change the life of everybody else. So sometimes we think that it's always going to be like that person who like gets the millions of followers. When that person gets 1 million followers, then like they've made it. But what Gary Vee understands is, no. If I could just change one person's life, if I could motivate, if I can encourage, if I could affirm one person, then like that's worth everything that I would try to do for them. Like I'm not looking at it from a standpoint of how many followers I can get. It's like how many lives can I change? But I know that if I can just change one, then we can go from there.
Yeah.
I think about the person that got Billy Graham to fall in love with Jesus.
Man.
Think about the person that got Martin Luther King to fall in love with Jesus. I think about the person that got Ravi Zacharias.
That gave him that Bible on a bed. He said it so many times.
Oh my gosh, what a story.
He was 17 years old, tried to commit suicide, wakes up in the hospital. His mom is there. And this guy, this total stranger, just comes in his room, lays a Bible on him, walks out. His mom starts reading him the Gospel of John. And he was like, from that point on,
that's where my life.
And like that one person's act.
Come on, bro. We don't know his name.
Exactly.
We don't know who he is. We don't know what he looks like. This one person, and like you could even attribute to that person who's unknown. That should be every Christian. That like when we read the Bible, patient tells us this, that everyone who doesn't have a name.
Yes.
I think you say it too. If you don't have, then if their person is not named, it's because it's like referring to you, or whatever situation that you're dealing with. So like if you read about the rich young ruler, he doesn't have a name because he's like the person who's dealing with greed.
That was his identity.
Yeah, that was his identity. The woman with the issue of blood, like she had an issue. She had to get her issue resolved by Jesus. So when I think about that story, I just apply what I've already learned about the Bible in this moment, and I'm thinking, yo, it doesn't matter who that person was, but you see what he did and you saw the impact of what he did. So like, okay, I think it's crazy. I feel like the God is telling me to like give someone a Bible. He's walking through. I gotta give this Bible to somebody. I'll just this kid, whatever, and then walk away. He, I don't know. He may not have known the kid's name. He may not know.
I mean, Ravi got to talk to him years later.
See, you know what I'm saying?
Dude was like, "Oh, this came from that? That's amazing! Like, I'm glad. Like, praise God."
What was he doing? He was just being him.
Yes,
he was just being him. And through that type of obedience, through that type of lifestyle, he was able to like impact millions. If he had not done that, I don't know. Maybe we would never have Ravi Zacharias. RIZM. RZIM would never.
I'm telling you, you wouldn't have Preachers Hour podcast
for sure.
Because I wouldn't. I don't know where I'd be, and it's amazing. Not taking any credit for it, but like I was able to learn a whole bunch of stuff from Ravi, and no offense to my church, but my church was never going to teach me.
Right.
And I was able to take that and turn it into a week of vacation Bible school that was able to impact a whole bunch of young people's lives.
Right.
Where at the very least a seed has been planted in them, where they know that there are answers out there to their questions, and like they can have a much better chance of staying Christian, or at least becoming a real Christian later on in their lives. And it's all him,
dude.
Yeah, man,
dude. And I want the person listening, like, just to know, like if you're really following Jesus and you're really trying, like just keep doing that.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if there's this moment. I just don't know if there's a moment where it's like a big breakthrough and you're just like, wow, okay, I know what God's telling me to do. This is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And like you just move. And I don't know if there's a time, like I'm going to be honest, I'm not in that time. Like I feel like God has called me to youth ministry and that's like literally it. But like he hasn't told me like, this is the plan. This is how I want you to build it. You know, he hasn't given me like the Noah's Ark guideline of how to do ministry. He just said,
you got a little prophecy. You did get a prophecy. We both did.
A little bit, which is still like a guideline. It's not necessarily like it's not step. Yeah, it's not step by step. So there's a lot of things I'm still figuring out. But I think one thing that God has been doing with me and Jess is like bringing people in our lives when we feel like we're not going in the right direction or we feel like we're stuck. He'll bring people in our lives to tell us, hey, what you said, like that really impacted me. With Jessica, that email Jessica got, just showed her like this is the right direction. Like when you're driving and like your phone dies and you're just like, oh shoot, where am I? It's like, okay, what do I remember? I remember that I'm supposed to make a left here, and it's like, okay, when I see this barn, I'm gonna make a left. All right, you drive. Oh, there's a barn. That's what that is. When someone says, hey, good job, or like, hey, I see a lot of God in you. That's that moment. It's like, okay, I made it to this milestone. I made it to this point. I'm going in the right direction. You just keep going with that. And I don't want you to get discouraged. Like the little things that we do, man. I think about this lady, Mildred. Mildred just blew my mind last week, man. Because
side note, Brandon preached a fire freaking sermon last week.
And even that, bro, like, so like we got a lot of like feedback from that sermon. And I'm like, I'm going to be 1,000% honest. I did not prepare that sermon. Like I forgot I was preaching that day. And this is not no clout. This is not no puff up. This is literally just like, this is the real. I was not prepared. And I had nothing, but when patient had asked me, he said, hey, are you still preaching? I remember like, oh snap, I am still preaching. And I just said, hold on. I'll let you know in a second. So I just prayed and I was like, God, if you have anything, just bring something to my memory. And then I'll try to like follow you as you go. So I'm like praying, worship ends, and I'm like, all right, God, I gotta get a response. And I just felt it in my soul, like, just tell him yes. And I was like, all right, it's gonna be a disaster. So I was like, yes, I'm gonna preach. And his patient's like, okay, cool. So worship ends, and I'm getting ready to preach, and I'm just like, what can I say? And like Jessica hands me the roll of quarters, and I'm like, oh yeah. I said, wow. And the crazy thing was, I was going to tell you first. I was going to tell you and Selena about the roll of quarters, and I just forgot, just missed, like completely, like went past my mind. So then I'm like, okay, cool. She handed me the roll of quarters. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, let me just tell them the story. And like, as I'm telling the story, or I know right before that, I was already reading. I was reading Luke 14. No, I don't know, somewhere in Luke, but the feeding of the 5,000. And I'm reading that story, and I was like, man, the disciples, Jesus said, like, what do you have? And they said, like, we only have, or we have nothing but. And the NLT says, we have nothing but. And I was like, oh, wow. And then she handed me the quarters, and I was like, oh, wow. Okay, God, okay, I see what you're doing here. So I just started talking about, like, how Mildred, I helped her one day fix her electric wheelchair. And I gave her 75 cents or less. And then a month later, she comes back, or like 3 weeks later, she comes back and hands me a roll of a roll of quarters. It's like $10, and says, I want to donate this to the church because the church helped me in my time of need. And like, she's like poor. I want you to understand, this is not a woman who like
her two mites.
She threw her coins in that pot, and I was just like, God, you did something amazing from what I thought was nothing. So for even you listeners, like, I don't want you to think that that you don't have anything, or that your life is like worthless. The little things you do could be a huge blessing. Because even from Mildred, for me doing that for Mildred, she gave me $10. That's not huge. $10 is like a drop in the bucket, but like for her was a huge sacrifice. So I saw that, I was like, okay, cool, I want to like keep this and like, you know, always remember it. And then from that came a sermon that blessed other people. And I'm telling you, I don't know how far it's gonna go. But from that small
definitely gonna
act,
take care of Mildred,
man, for sure.
Have to moving forward.
I'm just like, God, whatever. Like, just, I don't care if I don't see the full picture. I've learned that from giving that lady that gas. That was the first moment when I I pray that I always remember that. Just like random
spiritual marker
where I gave a lady gas. I'm just like, okay, God, I just want to hear you. I just want to listen. Like whenever you say something, I just want to do it. And do I do it all the time? No. And do I fail? And do I fall? And do I sin? Yes. Mm-hmm. But I always remember like, okay, God, I need to get back to you. Even in my moments of like complete rebellion from God. And I'm like, no, I want to do this. Like, I still feel like God is like, all right, whatever, do it. And then, hurry up and get back. And like, I go and sin, and then like God will like, will not necessarily, I don't want to say punish, but like the type of like remorse. Yeah. Like, you feel terrible, but it's like, God, I want to be close to you. Like, I know that I did this, but I want to be close to you. And he's like, I want you to be close to you. Come back. And it's the same way, like when I view my kids, like they do something wrong, I don't want to put them out the house. I just want them to learn, like, just do what I tell you. Cause I'm telling you, I'm not telling you to do it because I'm too lazy to do it. I'm telling you to do it because I'm trying to teach you something. Mm-hmm. And I realize that God is the same way. So just listen. Just keep your eyes and your ears open. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying to the churches.
And you take all of that, and I think the greatest joy that Ravi gets, that I'm very confident that he will receive, is like that well done. And that's kind of the thing that we are hoping for. Now, as a believer, once we are like really accepting of the gift and we are really trying to follow Jesus, we get a lot on this side. Yeah. It's not going to be like all roses and sunshine. It might be freaking terrible. You might be poor. You might struggle with illness or lots of deaths. Yeah. I forget who is it. Oh man, freaking Will's mom. Just a lot of people are she's losing a lot of people. But like, she's so strong in her faith, and Jesus said it, like, no one who loses brother or sister or whatever will not receive like
100-fold.
You're like, on this side, we do get a lot. Yeah. It's not going to be how the world sees it, but it's going to be a lot. Yeah. But like, if I'm just trying to be a good and faithful servant, like really, really do. I'm not trying to get famous. I'm not trying to get a bunch of followers. I'm not trying to get rich. Those things might come in the process. Yeah. They might not. But if my goal is to be a good and faithful servant, like, the best thing that can happen to me is if I die.
Because you gain everything.
Because like, I literally get this person. Like, I literally get Jesus. And of course you get all the things that go with it. You get the, no more crying and no more sickness and then all those perks of heaven. But the greatest thing is that I get Jesus. Yeah. And like, I can guarantee you, as hurt as Ravi's loved ones are, his kids, his wife, that remain, because we have to talk about that. The people that we leave behind, quote unquote, here in this life. Yeah, it sucks for them. But I can guarantee you, Ravi's good.
Oh man.
Like,
not a care in the world.
Like, he is big chilling.
Not a care in heaven.
And he's earned it. Like,
yeah. Well done.
Yeah. So it's like, we have to be very real. Like, Jesus cried when it came to death. He he went through a very difficult, probably panic attack in the Garden of Gethsemane before he was going to die a terrible death. So like, it's not that we don't have these emotions. We don't have the reality, the heaviness, the weight of like dying. It's there. Me and Brandon are not trying to like, oh yeah, no, you just die is gain. Like, no, like, it sucks.
It sucks. Even Ravi said it sucks. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a whole bunch of things he wanted to keep doing. He wanted to enjoy time with his wife. He wanted to enjoy time with his grandkids and kids.
And like, it's not like just cancer. Like, it's not just like cancer. Okay, my body's like failing. No, like, I'm sure there's pain involved.
Lots of pain. But I was thinking about this. Like, my boy has been in pain for the last at least 20 years of his life. I mean, he's had like probably 10 back surgeries, fused spine parts, rods put in his back. I mean, like, literally, he's on the road all the time, just in constant pain. The whole time he's up on stage doing different things. He needs a stool. Like, his back is just always hurting. He's like, there's never really a day I'm not in pain.
Sheesh.
So like to have that gone,
dude,
man. I know Uncle Rod deals with that. I mean, just constant pain.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not all good on this side either. Like, trust me, there's a lot of benefits to being on that side. So I think the point of this episode, I want the listener to just have the balanced view. The only way to have a balanced view is to have Jesus, is to have that hope. Because if you don't have him, you're right. There is no balance. Your flesh is dying. There's no hope. Live it up now, because tomorrow
it could end.
Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die.
Dude,
as Paul said,
it could be the end of it. So try to. I want you guys to be encouraged. For you who are believers, like there's hope for us.
Yes.
For you who are non-believers, like I want you to take take courage, because there is hope, because you still have time. If you want to receive Jesus tonight, like that's something you can do, and it's not. I'm not trying to go through the whole like prayer or whatnot, but I want you to understand that it's a mindset. Like you have to confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that Jesus is real, and that he died and that he rose again, so that you could have a relationship with the Father, though that you don't have to die. You don't have to like end your life. You could have everlasting life, but you just have to believe. And belief, I think belief and faith are things that are constantly moving. I don't think they're like a thing that happens once. It's like faith should have an ing at the end, faithing. Like it's something that you do on a constant. Believe, it's not just believe, it's believing constantly. Having the belief that, okay, God, I don't know if you're real, but I want to believe. Show me who you are. And I promise you, if you say that with the realness of your heart, Jesus will show you who he is. Like I just know that from experience, that he's never let a prayer of genuine like a genuine cry for him like go wasted.
If you seek me, then you will find me. Dude,
it's literally in the Bible. So I want you to know that even for the unbeliever, there's hope, because you still have time, but I don't know how much time. So if you're gonna get right now.
Yeah, man. So it's been a good one.
It's been a good one.
Again, thank you, Ravi, for your life. We will carry on the work on this side until we see you on the other side. Guys, enjoy your week. Stay safe with the COVID and everything. But one thing that's not changing is our God.
Let's go.
So we will see y'all on the next one. Peace.
Peace.